Hey guys, welcome. Welcome to another live session broadcasting from my car. Who am I? I'm a 39-year-old man who a few years ago I started on a journey to downsize my life, to take more control of my life so that I have more options. Because you wake up middle age, a light bulb goes off, you realize that half your life is gone, and you may have created a life based on immaturity, based on what you thought was important in your 20s and maybe even early 30s. And as you start to mature in life, you realize time is of the essence because, again, I think when half of something is over, I think it hits more to your mind on a level of urgency of you only have half left. When you eat half of your food and there's only half left, there's more thought that gives into, the value of something. And the value of time is understanding life needs to be lived responsibly, but with a level of urgency. And so in my mind, I woke up in the middle ages of my life, in my early 30s. I wanted to get my health together, and then after I got my health together, I wanted to make a conscious decision to downsize financially, downsize my expenses, while working a full-time job and still trying to keep my career going, because I was concerned that if one day I get laid off, I didn't like the position I was in. And positioning yourself in life is an intentional decision, and it needs to really be thought through. Because I have been laid off before, and if you go through enough life experience, you could be in that situation. In today's society, they say the average person only spends 4.5 years with the same company. So there's a lot more change in society today than 30 years ago or so, different generation. But through a series of decisions, I started to throw out things I own that I didn't use. The humans are very inefficient. It's said that 80%, on average, 80% of what people own, they do not use. They're trappings. I'm not anti-materialistic as far as like if something brings you joy and you use it, it's your money. You spend your money on what you want. But you have to be conscious of if you're buying things and you're not using them to the full capacity, you are now, I hate using the word slave to your things because I think that's too harsh of a word, but your things aren't serving a purpose in your life. The things have trapped you to a life that you have to keep, you have to keep running in the rat race of life to maintain your things. And so I downsized things and I only kept the bare essentials. And then I started to look at my housing. And the main reason I started to look at my housing is because after my dog died, I realized, I have 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths. I mean, I use my bedroom, my kitchen, my bathroom. I don't use much square footage. And also, I don't want to live in New Jersey. Not for any other reason than really mainly the weather, okay? Because New Jersey has a lot of job opportunities, there's a lot to offer, especially compared to a lot of other parts of the country. So I know I joke around a lot and I say New Jersey's a disaster, but I could tell you right now, if I was born in the middle of nowhere in the country, I would not have the career I had, I wouldn't have the opportunities I had. So, make a mental note of that when I talk about New Jersey, when I talk about downsizing, and when I talk about life, So I looked, I said, I want to leave New Jersey for the main reason being the weather. Okay? Because the climate, your environment plays a big part. And I'm building up to tonight's topic. Tonight's topic, we're going to talk about what would you do with $100,000. And I see my man Journey in a Jeep. He spurred tonight's topic with a comment he left. So I'm building up a context of tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is what would you do with $100,000? Now, I realize some people will never get close to having 100 grand. It's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. Okay. Some people will only have that much money maybe in retirement. Some people will never even have that in retirement. Some people, 100 grand is not too much. But for the people that will have 100 grand or it's not too much, it's a smaller percentage of society than the masses. Never forget that. 80% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And then even only a few have a substantial amount in the 401k or savings. Okay. For most people, a $2,000 emergency would cause them severe financial hardship. So we're building up a context of society. America's the wealthiest pretty much country in the world. There's a lot of opportunity. There's also a lot of poverty. There's also the masses working to live paycheck to paycheck. And so like back to I was building up context, I'd gotten out of the point, I dug myself out of the hole of living paycheck to paycheck because I was once there. I dug myself out becoming conscious of a budget. Okay? How much I bring in and how much I have in expenses every day. A budget is you have to know your income and you have to know your expenses. And then you have to know, do you have a surplus? Do you have more money after paying your expenses to save? Or do you have less money? You're running a deficit, meaning that you don't bring in enough money to pay for your expenses. You have to go into debt each month, whether you're consciously doing it or subconsciously. For a while, I was actually even in a deficit. And I always looked at like in the future, I'll just make more money. I'll make more money. Don't worry about it. And I've worked with people that make over 100 grand a year and they live paycheck to paycheck. Sam, how is that possible? 2 houses, 2 boats, or 2 houses, 1 boat, 2 kids. Very possible. Very possible. So, as I woke up in life and I was in my middle age, I said, I need to make changes now, especially while I can. Okay. And I always tell you guys that the best time to get a job is when you currently have a job. The best time to make a decision to change is when you have an opportunity to change. Not that you can't when you're desperate, because look, when you're desperate, you're going to have no other choice. And I've been there too. But I'm trying to encourage you that if you're fearing change, but you have the opportunity to change, be proactive. Because I understand change is hard because humans are creatures of habit. Humans are creatures of habit. So it's very hard to change our habits. They say it takes 28 days to change a habit or to form a new habit. So, but through the pain of downsizing, through the pain of even selling my house, because I really contemplate, I said, Sam, if you sell your house, where are you going to live? Okay. I'm not really a big fan of renting, of a landlord, to be honest with you. Because I'm an independent person, and if I'm going to spend money, I'd rather spend money in equity in a house I'm going to have, own, or I'd rather just, live on the road. But after doing some research and downsizing, and that's how I came to living in my car. I currently live in my car for 2.5 years. So how I got there was I didn't really understand that piece of the puzzle. I was taking steps. So here's how you make progress in life. You have to take the steps you can, and then as you keep taking steps forward, the next step will reveal itself. Action breeds progress. Procrastination, you're never going to figure out the next step. You're never going to figure it out. Faith is taking the first step without seeing the entire staircase. So I knew no matter what, I had to throw stuff out because I knew no matter what, I had a lot of inefficiencies. And we're going to get to the topic, 100 grand, what would you do with it? So I said, well, it's a no-brainer. The next step is I got to throw stuff out because I got stuff I don't need. So let me just start there. And that's going to take a while, guys. The mental pain of throwing stuff out, especially good stuff that's perfectly well in shape or brand new, very hard. But the whole purpose of downsizing, guys, the whole purpose is to take more control of your life, to have more options so that you can live a more inspired life. For me, that was the whole purpose. And it still is. It's a different feeling when you go to work or when you wake up and you have options, okay? When you have no options and you wake up and you go to work or you just go to the store, your mind is pulsing. When you get excited or you get like upset, you could feel like your blood pulsing in your veins, your heart pulsing. Sometimes I get so fired up on this channel, my heart starts pulsing. If I start to talk about Paulo, I'm not going to do it tonight. We'll see what happens. But life is very hard mentally. I think as you get older, again, I think middle age, you definitely start to realize that. You could be blessed, but you still realize, like, there's some challenges in life. A lot of it's mental. And the more stress you have, the less quality of life you have. Okay, so when you have more options, you have less stress. You never get rid of all the stress, but you have less because you can do more things. When you have less options, you have more stress because you're screwed. You can't do much else. You feel trapped. You feel someone else has their hooks in you and you can't get out. You feel like people hold stuff over your head. There's nothing you can do about it. People take advantage of you. There's nothing you can do about it. I've shared the story before. I was in debt. I needed a new car. My credit was a wreck. I went to the dealership. I paid almost 25% interest or 20 to 25% interest on the car. It was horrible. But what could I do? I took it up the butt. You guys know, I mean that figuratively, not literally, all right? But I took it up the butt. Because again, when you have no options, what do? I went to a bunch of different dealerships. And guess what? I was lucky to find one to give me a loan. And it was because I was living above my means and not managing my money well. It's immature. So after finally getting to this point, I'm downsizing. I eventually, through downsizing, I find that, living mobile is an option, especially with the advance of technology. And so I see online people living in an RV, people living in their vans or cars. My at that time, my manager was into camping, so he had told me, Sam, maybe you should buy an RV because you're in a transitional state, not a permanent state. You're trying to reposition your life, and an RV may work. And that kind of put on a light bulb, so I started looking at that. So that's probably a good option. But then after looking at that and realizing I wasn't ready to leave New Jersey, the RV parks in New Jersey were few and far between. They were dumps. There's not a lot of state parks because it's not an all-year camping environment. It's, Northeast is too cold in the winter. And then I looked at the cost and lugging that thing around. I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm not ready for that because I don't even know what I want to do yet. And so, I just started, I said, I saw a couple people living in a car or van. So I'll try that. So if it doesn't work out, I'll rent something till I get down to Florida, or I'll do something else. So bottom line is I get in my car, and eventually 2 years later or so, I get down to Florida to work a remote job, and here I am. So I'm building context as we approach the topic tonight. I'm building context of the reason why I downsized, the different positions I've been in life, and how that if you don't intentionally get out of the rat race, you are going to be in the rat race. Because again, stock market's at an all-time high. Real estate is at its all-time high. Yet 80% of Americans still live paycheck to paycheck. And that's pretty much a consistent throughout time because it's human nature. It's human nature. And even beyond that, middle class is shrinking. There's no pensions, there's no unions. It's a bit different economy, but at the same time, there's a lot of opportunity. Okay, why? Because you can do a lot more things through technology, but you have to be a lot more accountable for your finances. Because pensions, annuities, and things like that, it was pretty much like your company but you can work for yourself as an independent contractor. I mean, Uber, DoorDash, those aren't really careers. But there's different things in life that, however you're going to cut it, you're going to have to manage your finances. Even the 401k, you have to manage it. You have to decide what funds you put it in. And that's different than a pension or annuity. And that leads up to our question, what would you do with $100,000? A viewer of Journey in a Jeep brought that up today, and I think it's a good question. Now, whether you have $100,000, $1,000, or $10,000, I think you should approach it in a similar mindset. The first mindset is with $100,000, you have to ask yourself, do you have income still coming in? Because if you have $100,000 and you can insert any amount of money you want, $1,000, $10,000, whatever. Whatever you have in savings. Okay, let's just say right now it's in savings. And for tonight's topic, we're using 100 grand as the example, but you can put in whatever you have in savings if you have any. So if you have 100 grand in savings, what should you do? Here's a list of things I run through my mind. The first thing you have to do is you have to ask yourself, do you still have an income coming in? Now, whether that's self-employed, investments, or a regular conforming job. Because if you don't have an income coming in, you have to look at that 100 grand completely different than you would if you had, you'd have to look at 100 grand in the savings account different if you had no income coming in, if you were laid off, and if you had no passive income versus either you still had a job or you have passive income. So that's number one. Because if you have no income, you have to be very cautious and you have to spend very little of your money until you figure out how you get income coming in. Whether you're going to go back to a job, and if you are living simple and if you've intentionally made decisions to downsize, then you have more options. You don't have to get a big high corporate job, and maybe you can get by with Uber or different things like that if you wanted to. But savings goes fast. So you eat into savings when you don't have income coming in. And your savings account is your form of income. Because I've often shared on this channel that even if you have no house, even if your car is paid off for, you're always going to have bills. Why? Number one is you always have to feed yourself. Number two is you always gonna have to have car insurance. Number three is you're always gonna have gas. You're always gonna have to have health insurance. If you get hurt, you slip and fall, you have a stroke, you break your ankle, and you have 100 grand in the savings account and you don't have medical expenses, guess what, guys? You're coming out of pocket. And if God forbid you have a stroke or something serious, and that 100 grand can be gone tomorrow. Got to have health insurance, guys. And if you got 100 grand in the bank, no reason not to have health insurance, whether it's through your employee or self-employed. So you see right there, those are some foundational things that you have to account for each month in your budget. Okay. And so that if you don't account for them, right, you are just eating into savings because savings is your income. And before you know it, a couple years, 1 year, 10 years, whatever, you're back to broke. And so you have to have a long-term thought very first. The very first thought is, what is my long-term plan for income? Passive income or regular income? Meaning regular income, meaning you're going to work some type of job, whatever it is. Cleaning houses or a CEO, one or the other. I mean, something. Caretaker or caretaker or public school teacher, one or the other. Don't date either. Stay single, guys. If you don't stay single, just take that 100 grand and burn it. That's what I tell you right now. So stay single and masturbate in a sock. Because let me tell you something. If you have kids and you decide to get married, guys or girls, you might as well take that 100 grand and put fire to it. All right, let's stay positive. So you may say, okay, I don't have a job, and so I want to take that 100 grand and make money. All right, first thing you have to realize is there's no guarantee with any investment. So if you decide to put it in the stock market and some dividend paying stocks, or buy maybe a cheap duplex or something that you can try to rent out. Well, number one is, before you try to take that 100K and make money off it, all you had to your name was 100K, and again, insert whatever amount of money that you would have in savings. You do not want to put all of it into some type of an investment. You always want to keep a certain amount in savings, even if it gets no interest, that is completely there as an insurance policy, as an emergency fund. And if you had 100K, I would say you probably always want to keep 10 or 20K just in a complete savings account. Never put it in a brokerage account. Don't go buy property and only leave yourself with a couple grand. So put 10 to 20%, if you had 100K, 10 or 20,000 into a savings. And then now, let's just say, you got 80,000 left, okay? So now if you did 80,000, okay, I think they say the average stock return is somewhere between 6 to 8% if you just bought the indexes on average. So let's just round it up to 10%. You're not going to get a stock paying that high. But let's just say you put it in the stock market, which averages over time, and that's the key word, 6 to 8%. And the highest dividend for a safe company is a safe company, meaning not a volatile stock, is about 5%. But let's just say somehow you can get 10% on your money, okay? If you got 10% of your money in some type of stock investment, $80,000, that's only $8,000 per year. Okay. So that's less than $800 per month. Less than $800 per month, even if everything was paid off, $1,000 per month is living in poverty in America. $1,000 or less per month is living in poverty in America. So if you were making 10% on 80,000, you're still living in poverty because you're making less than $800 per month. You're not going to be able to pay for a car insurance, health insurance, food, gas, etc. Okay, because that's bare minimum. I just changed my tire, $600. I had my brakes done the other month. You always have something. Okay. So that's not going to do it. That's not going to give you a sustainable income for the rest of your life. Definitely not. Okay. And you're taking a risk that, there's no guarantee you're going to get that return. So you have to be cautious there. Now, if you say, okay, I want to take that 80,000, I want to go buy real estate. I want to buy a duplex maybe in a subpar neighborhood, because you're not going to be able to find really an investment property for 80K or less in most decent areas. But let's just say you found something. It's not in a great area, but you think you can do it. 50,000. See, now you are getting into what they call a hard asset. See, the stock market is a liquid asset. Okay, both of them are risky. Both of them are risky. Okay, but we're trying to figure out what you would do with 100K. The stock market, though, is liquid. At any time, pretty much within the same day during business hours, you can buy or sell stock. Okay? And it's liquid. You can get in and out of it. Okay. Real estate is what they call a hard asset. And many times it's a liability, not an asset, but it's a hard asset. The average, it takes 3 to 6 months to buy and sell property. From the time there's an agreed upon price to the time that title's transferred over. It can be done in less time. It can be done in more. It all depends on various factors, market conditions, the type of transaction. But 3 to 6 months is the average. Okay, so that is not a liquid asset. It's a long-term investment when you find some cheap thing that you're going to buy that's going to bring you money. You're locking up 50K and you're going to have liability. Why? Because now you're automatically adding additional expense, even if it's income property. It's all tax write-off, but now you got to have house insurance, especially if you're going to rent out to people, because you're liable. You're liable if your person that you're renting to, if they slip and fall or if they claim some type of lawsuit, you have to have insurance. Okay. You have to have some type of maintenance. The biggest part about owning property is you have to maintain it. The pipes, the electrical, the sidewalk, the grass, whatever. Okay. So you got to account for that in a budget. Even if some months you don't have to pay for anything, there's going to be months you have to pay for stuff. So now you see, this is not like the asset that just pays for itself. It's something that you have to dump money into and you're liable for, especially you still haven't solved the problem of how are you going to get income if you're not working. We're going to go through another scenario if you were working. So you start to see now, you have to account for maintenance, you have to account for liability with insurance, and you have to account for turnover. Every business has turnover. What does turnover mean? It means that you may find a renter for a year, for a month, but they're going to eventually maybe want to buy a property. Maybe you have to put them out. They don't pay. So you're going to have times within renting property out that you don't have a tenant. So you have to account for that. And there's a level of stress because you own a business. Okay, you're in the real estate business. So, and many people, they get an LLC when they become a landlord to shift a little bit of liability. LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation or Company. I had one when I had an electrical contracting business. Because when you have some type of thing, and being a landlord is a business. When you have a business, the number one thing you do is you expose yourself to liability, okay? Lawsuits, etc. And so, you have to cover your ass. I mean, so one is you want to shift that business out of your personal name and maybe into a company name. So now, guess what you got to do? You got to file for LLC. You got a little bit of expense. I think when I filed for it, I even used a lawyer. It was less than $1,000, but still $1,000. And now you got to pay quarterly taxes. You got to do, you get into this whole thing, guys. And so you're adding stress to your life. Now, if you're looking for the simple life, caution. But the simple life is not simple if you don't have money coming in and if you don't have a long-term plan. So you got to do something, okay? Because $100K with no money coming in, that's your income. And eventually you eat away at your income and then you have nothing. And then what do? Especially after you've now got out of the workforce. So 100K in the two biggest forms, whether it's the stock market or real estate, it's not going to be enough to get you out of poverty if that's your only source of income. And you're taking risk and liability. So that's when you get frozen. You say, well, is it worth it to put in the stock market? Is it worth it to buy income property? Not if you have no other income. Now you got to really think this out. And you got to keep a certain amount in savings that you never touch. Now, if you have income, you could look at it different. Even if you have Uber, DoorDash, or a caretaker or dog walker, those aren't careers, but if you have no debt, it's something where at least you have cash flow, okay? And you could start to get up to, I think you have to get up to at least $2,000 per month take home after expenses. If you're a single person, start to get a place where you're all right. But the other thing you have to address with 100K, whether you have income, whether it's a job, passive income, do you have debt? Okay, so now if you have 100K and you have debt, should you pay it off? It all depends how much debt and what the interest rate is. Because savings, that 100K is the biggest thing between you and asking for money from an ungrateful family member, or from a bank that's going to screw you, or from a car dealership that's going to offer you 20%. So I say you want to try to pay off debt as soon as you can, but you also don't want to spend your 100K leverage. That 100K is your options. And like if you had 100K and you had 50K in debt, would I pay the 50K off? Depends on the interest rate. Like I often said, if I had 100K, I don't know if I would buy I wouldn't buy a $30,000 car cash. I mean, so depends on the interest rate, but you definitely want to eat away at debt. Okay. But you definitely want to be conscious of your savings, whether it's $1,000 or $100,000, and there's a big difference there, but your savings, you do not want to spend, even when it comes to paying down debt, too aggressively, because you realize if you ever get to the point where you have $1,000 in savings, it took me a while to even get to that at one point in my life, 1,000 or 100K, you realize how long it takes to get 100K, okay, or whatever you want to have in your savings. And then you realize if you don't have income coming in, how long would it take to put that back? A long time, guys, long time. Like I said in the beginning of the statement, most people will never even have 100K, even in retirement. So if you do, one is be thankful. Okay. Don't feel guilty. Especially if you work for it and you do what you need to do, don't feel guilty, but just be thankful and enjoy that you're blessed. Okay, and then realize you're not home free. Okay, you're blessed. You got 100K. You're probably better off than most people ever be in their life. You shouldn't feel guilty. You should feel thankful. But then you gotta say, look, I'm not the home stretch. I can't retire, not if I don't have income. So now you're either back into the corporate life. You're going to work, maybe you don't want to go back to working for someone else, but you want to be your own, like own contractor. You want to do Uber, DoorDash, or whatever, or social media, whatever. But, again, those aren't high paying jobs. So you have to kind of figure that out. And then you have to look at long-term housing. Okay. Because again, I often say, and as I started this conversation, how my life evolved into living in my car. It was all about taking more control over my life in a transitional state so that if I get laid off or if down the road I have more options with my career and with my life, because life is not enjoyable when you're living paycheck to paycheck, when you're living in a state that doesn't inspire you, in a house that doesn't inspire you, and you know if something happens, you have to get back into this rat race and you're not going to like life. So repositioning your life when you have the opportunity is key. But long-term, living in your car is not long-term the answer. Could I do it till the day I die? You could. But look, when I get into my 60s and 70s, will I be living in my car? Probably not. Probably not. A RV, maybe. A RV, maybe. But an RV, the only difference between an RV and a car is you got more room and you got the electrical hookups, you got the utilities, but you need to be able to hook them up. So an RV may solve more room, but it doesn't solve the infrastructure. You know, the flushing of the toilet, the electrical you're going to need for your air conditioning, you're going to need to stay at a campground. Campgrounds can cost just as much money as a house or a piece of land. After a year or so or whatever, some campgrounds, some areas, some RV parks, they're not nice. You can stay at a dump, you can stay in a bad neighborhood, but you don't want to do that. And, RV, you may spend $50,000 or more. That's going down in value. That requires maintenance, and you still have to park it somewhere, and you still have to hook it up to utilities. So it does give you the flexibility to move around and to have more options. But it doesn't solve long-term your financial goals unless you have income in addition to your 100K. If you just have your 100K and no income and you get an RV, you still have to figure out a strategy long-term for your life. So what is the answer on how you spend 100K? Well, breaking down some scenarios like that, you're never going to touch a 10 to 20% of it. You don't want to pay down debt without eating into too much of that. And I would say use your youth, use your energy to position yourself where you want to live, okay? Because that's key, okay? Because the first step in retirement is to downsize and decide where you want to live, okay? So what I would tell you is, I can't guarantee you that 100K can get you to early retirement, or if you are retired, you can live off of. But what I could tell you is, let's look at what do people want to do with their life when they're retired. Because money is a resource. It's a resource to get you to live your best life. So the first thing you do when you're retired, which is supposed to be like your best life, your golden years, is you want to downsize because you want less stuff to take care of. And you want to live in the area that inspires you, whether it's because of the climate, the culture, etc. I'm putting my fan on. So what I would tell you to do is get to the area you want to live. That's a huge step that you should take immediately if you have 100K. Whether you have to work again or not, doesn't matter. Get to where you want to live. Find a state, find a town, find a city, and scope it out. You don't have to stay there. You can get an RV, keep it moving. But I think you should start to, and if you don't know, then start to travel a little bit. Because even me, I don't have a home base, meaning I don't own physical land, but I did enough traveling up and down the East Coast and then within Florida to find my favorite spots. Because I think your favorite spots operate as a home base even if you don't own property. And what I can tell you is someone from 2.5 years living full-time on the road is for your mental well-being, for a level of being grounded. You need to have somewhat of a beacon. You need to have somewhat of an area that it kind of feels like home, even if you're not going to buy a property there yet. So figure that out. And then figure out if that is your final spot. Then you can figure out that question of income. Are you going to be able to figure out some type of passive income? Can you get a job in that area? Because we're trying to structure the dream of aim for the moon even if you miss, you're amongst the stars. That hopefully we could retire early and not have to work or figure out something. But even if we can't totally figure it out, a worst case scenario is you're living in the area that you would most want to live in the entire country. You have paid off debt, you're living below your means, and you can take a job in an area that you want to be. So, hey, look, you may have to still work, but you're living where you want. You're not living paycheck to paycheck. You have more control, and even if you get laid off, you can find another job, and that's your best life. And if you want to take some of that 100K, if you want to take another 10K and play with it, do some type of risky thing, that's fine too. Like I say, don't touch a certain percentage of it. But that will get you in a general template type structure focused on where to begin with this blessing of some extra money. All the details, none of us can figure out because we're all different. We all have our own fingerprint. We all have our own journey. But again, someone asked me today, they proposed that question to me in a comment. I think it was a good one. And I wanted to share some thoughts on how I look at it. You should do whatever you want, especially, your money. You do what you want with your money. Don't let anyone mess up your money. If you have a YouTube channel and you have trolls, keep making videos. Why? Don't let anyone mess up your money. If you have a job and someone keeps busting your chops, keep showing up. Why? Don't let anyone mess up your money. Because at the end of the day, people who love you or hate you, ultimately, when you're in a hospital, you're alone. Ultimately, when your bills come in every month and you get an email, whatever, from your card loan or from your car insurance, you got to pay your bills, no one else. So get rid of trying to make other people happy. Okay. Get rid of it. And because it all comes back to owning your life, having more control of your life. That's how we started. That's why I started downsizing. Because when you have more control of your life and ownership, then you can use your creative gifts without being on the hook to other people, okay? I see some channels, they have to entertain the trolls because they need their viewership. YouTube counts a troll the same way they count a great person. It's all about how many people are watching. But when you don't want to play that game and you're not in a position where you have to, guess what you say? Block City. Not Slab City, Block City. Okay? Because I don't need you. I don't want to be your friend. Okay? You stand with Trump. Hey, I might still like you, but I may disagree with you harsh, especially after what he did the past couple of days. Do I have to throw that in there? I'd be better off not throwing it in there. Okay? But I didn't vote for Trump. I don't like a lot about him. Okay? Damn sure don't like how he's a bully, and I damn sure don't care how much of a friend he is with Kanye West. Come on, man. You do a Hillary Clinton pandered. So, of course, I do know some people that are decent that supported Trump. But see, I'm making a statement here just by talking about this, right? So, some people will not talk about politics and religion. Why? Because it's going to screw up their money. And you shouldn't do it in your job. But if you have a dream of like doing something creative and like speaking your truth, okay, so when you own your life more and you're in more control, you have more leverage to do that. Okay, so that's why I'm making kind of that point. Whether you have $100 grand in the bank or whether you're in debt with no money in the bank, this is what I want to end the opening sermon. I want a little bit long. All off comments is, no matter where you're at in life, the number one thing I tell you is, if you can't find good people, be alone. Nothing is worse in life than being around negative people, bad people. I don't care if you're family members, friends, or social media people. Get away from them. You don't need them. Okay? You don't need them. Journey with joy, brother. I hope I'm not late on that super chat. Journey with joy, man. Thank you for the 100 grand, man. Thank you for the $100 million. Journey with joy, man. Thank you, brother. I love you. I love you even if you voted for Trump. I love you, Journey with joy. You're a good man. You've been a blessing to me. I appreciate you, man. Good people, man. No matter who you voted for. Okay, I'm serious now. I'm joking a little bit. I'm being serious. And Journey with Jordan, this is why I'm making a statement. We've had some back and forth. Good people. Because no matter where you're at in life, if you have money or if you don't have money, if you don't have good people in your life is screwed up, man. And I'm being serious. I'm not talking about politics. I'm talking about just people that are not perfect people, okay, but good people. And if you can't find any, you're alone, then stay alone. The number one cause of stress, I did the research, you should Google it. The number one cause of stress is not money. Believe it or not, I thought it would be money. Damn, I thought that was $100 million when I first looked at it. So shit, there's $1.99. I'm thankful for that. Thank you, Journey. But the number one cause of stress is relationships. I love you, Journey with Jordan, no matter who you voted for, because bottom line is you've shown good character, brother. I love you, and I appreciate it. I do. I mean that seriously. And Sarah, I love you too. I know Sarah voted for Trump. There's a couple people I love, but come on, I gotta give it to them a little bit. But the number one cause of stress is relationships, believe it or not. And I share with you the stories like growing up and my parents getting divorced and how hard it was for my mom to leave my father. And my father wasn't an evil man, even though he voted for Trump. That's part of the reason I cut him off, I'm not gonna lie. Well, no, I wasn't, but you know. They're reserved. Lock City, Sam. We are going to Sweden to free ASAP. What a pandering job that was, man. Trump tweeted out, he's going to free ASAP. The guy committed a crime. He over there committing assault. The congresswomen, they didn't commit any assault. The football players who peacefully protest, they didn't commit any crimes. So, if anything, he should hate ASAP Rocky, and he should love the congresswomen and football players. But what Trump called the football players? Sons of a bitches. That's what he called them. And what were they chanting at the rally, at the Trump rally? Send her back home. Total disgrace. Total disgrace to his country. And I'll never stand with that disgrace. I won't. I'm not going to say that Trump does all bad things, but I'm telling you right now, that's very negative. Very negative. And I understand why some people didn't vote for either, because I'm fair. I know Hillary was a disaster, and that's fair. That's fair. But I don't want to get off topics. I know, that brings up a lot, but just be mindful that the people in your life really do matter. They really do. Okay. Now, money is the second thing. That's what they say. The top two causes of stress. Number one, relationship. Number two, money. So money matters. And guys, I'm very direct with you guys. I know some guys, I watch some guys on YouTube, they act like they're poor, okay? And they get money, they're buying like 2 home bases, like they're renovating this, they're renovating that, they renovate their RVs, they buy new RVs. And they're not telling, like, I'm not going to tell you how much I spend. I'm not going to. It's like, I mean, come on, man. I'm not mad at the hustle. I'm not mad at the hustle because there's not no panhandlers in the street. Now, most of them are not, they're not making real money. But, they make decent money, some of them. Now, hey, look, I look at a panhandler the same way I look at Boy Scout cookies. Those Boy Scouts, damn panhandlers. The cheerleaders in front of ShopRite, panhandlers. Trump should be giving them hell, man. Forget about the congresswoman. What about the Boy Scouts in front of ShopRite? What about the cheerleaders in front of Publix? Trump, direct your anger where it should be. The socialist in front of Publix begging for handouts. The Boy Scouts and the cheerleaders, they're a disgrace. Selling sugary cookies. We don't even have universal health care. All right, guys. I'm getting long with it. I love you guys. Let's go all live comments. Let me take a hydration break. And let me know, real quick, too. We're going to read all live comments. Thank you, Reserved. I appreciate you. And thank you, Journey with Jordan. Let me know in the comments, what would you do with $100,000 today? What would you do in the live comments right now? And if you watch the replay, what would you do with $100,000? All right. Take a hydration break. Reserved as, do you have a specific goal for retirement? I'm going to get to all live comments. I have to figure out a way to get income, passive income. So that's the key component. Because your age, your savings, and how much income you have are the key components. So until I'm 60 in America, you have to be 62 before you can start to collect Social Security. And Social Security is a form of income. For about 35 to 40% of Americans, it's their primary source of income in retirement. So until I'm able to, so one is, if I'm able to get a level of passive income, then I would consider retiring early. I haven't figured that out yet. And I would still have to work. So I figure if I have to work no matter what, I might as well maximize my potential. Okay. Now, if I got laid off or something, I don't know what I would do from here. I really have to examine that. But I've positioned my life, like I tell you guys, that I'm living where I want. I've cut my expenses as much as I can. And so, like, even if I got to keep working until I'm 62, which I may have to. Now, you can't start collecting Medicare, which is your health benefits in America. Both of these are socialist programs. Social Security and Medicare are socialist programs. They're not capitalist, meaning they're run by the government. Okay, they are not run by private companies for profit. That's the definition of capitalism. So after the Great Depression, the president instituted Social Security and Medicare. They're socialist programs. They're socialism. They are. They're the definition. So just make a mental note of that, okay? And most people count on them as their retirement and their medical insurance. Now, you can't collect Medicare until 67. So if you collect Social Security at 62, you're going to take a penalty, meaning you're not going to get your full benefits, your full amount of money, and you're not going to get health care until you're 67. And even when you're 67, I think that only covers like 80%. You still have to get a supplemental health care. So the average Social Security, I think, is like $1,400 per month. Not disability Social Security, but full retirement. That's like $1,400 a month. That's close to poverty. What's poverty in America? $1,000 less per month. So, to answer your question, my retirement goal is I would have to have enough passive income in one form or another to be at least $2,000 or more take home. I would have to have enough in savings for a year or so. And I'd have to, the $2,000 a month would be after I pay for my health insurance and everything. Well, my health insurance. That's your main 62. Now, if I could have some money work in other ways, that'd be great, but I haven't figured it out yet. If I figure it out, I'm going to tell you guys. But I haven't. Now, YouTube, I'm trying to make as a supplemental income. I don't think it would ever be a primary. I mean, I don't want to say never because you always want to be hopeful, and I'm putting in the work. But it's a supplemental. Okay, so if I could put a couple it's not passive. I have to show up every day, right? So if I don't show up, my YouTube channel doesn't generate any revenue. Okay, so you have to show up. You have to upload videos. It's work, but it's a fun job for me. It's a blessing. I enjoy doing it. Okay, I think that comes across. So that'd be one form. I have to figure out other forms. I would like to have some, maybe like in some type of stock or something like that, whether it's trading or whatever. But that's I haven't figured that out. But if I could, over time, build a couple supplemental incomes to get me over $2,000 per month after like major expenses such as like health insurance, car insurance, etc., then I would do it. But if not, then I'll probably be working until my 60s. So let's continue to read. Let's go back to the top. I'm sorry about that. Backwoods, good to have you, brother. Shout out to the Northwest. Keelan, what's up, brother? Good to have you. My Jeep journey, he was the one that sparked the question. Hello and good evening, Sam. Good to see you, brother. What kind of Jeep you got, man? Backwoods, and where are you living? Are you just traveling all around? Backwoods, hey, brother. Tony, Sam, if I get $100K, I'm buying land, okay, and building a house, then a boat. Okay, I'm not mad at that. What would you do in retirement? What type of passive income? Or would you just wait until you collect Social Security with that? Now, I know you do your creative arts, your music, but is your music enough, even if you paid off, even if you bought that land in cash and you bought your house in cash and you bought your boat in cash, now all those things require maintenance. You always got to have utility bills, you always got to have house insurance, you always got boat insurance, so you always got to have recurring bills. So what would you do for your passive income to sustain that lifestyle? Will you wait for Social Security? Or do you think music could sustain that lifestyle? Robert, if you haven't yet, listen to the Lost Tapes Part 2. I haven't. The Nas got Lost Tape Part 2. I haven't heard that yet. Thank you, Robert. Shout out to Miami. Cameron, hey, Sam, what's up, man? Donate. Hey, Sam. I have a question. Do they net the beaches in Florida? I don't know what you mean by net. Do people fish with nets in Florida? Yes. If that's what you mean. Tony, Sam, I work for myself. Yeah, I know you do the music. Can I set up a 401k? I don't know. I know the first thing you should do is probably a Roth IRA. That's if you make, I think, like $120,000 or less per year if you're single. So I'm sure, like with your music, you're making less than $120,000 per year single. So I would say a Roth IRA, which I think you can put, I don't know, like close to $6,000 or so per year in it, and it can grow tax-free. That's key. And it can be withdrawn tax-free. Okay, that's key. 401k, you put in pre-tax, but when you take it out at 59 and a half is the first time you could take out your 401k without a 10% penalty in addition to your tax bracket. So like if you took out your 401k early, you'd have to pay your income tax bracket, let's just say it's 25%, plus a 10% penalty on the money you pay. So 35% of your money would go out the door if you took out your money of your 401k before 59 and a half. So if you're an individual, can you set up a 401k? If you have your own business, maybe. I don't know all the parameters around that, so I won't lie to you. But that just gives you some insight. Brandon, hey Sam, I hope you had a blessed day. I did overall. It was a Friday, so I'm thankful for that. And I'm where I want to live, guys. That's key. One thing I have figured out is downsize now, because when you get to retirement, what you're going to want to do is downsize. So do it while you can. Downsize now and then figure out where you want to live. And if you don't know, travel around a little bit. But that's key, guys. Let's take a hydration break and a nose blow break. Guys and girls, please do take the effort. Click that thumbs up button. Share the video. Journey with Jordan and Reserve. Thank you again for Super Chats. Gerald, love you, Sam. I love you too. Hope you're well. Thank you, man. I appreciate all your support, man. Forgive me if I say the name wrong. I'll just say Ayusin. Sam, do you plan to get into a mortgage in the future? Good question. If I buy an RV lot, I'm going to get a mortgage. If a property is over 10, well, I don't know, 10,000, but I would say definitely if a property is 50, because I don't even think you can get a mortgage if a property is like under 50,000. You have to do like owner financing. But let's just say, most properties I'm looking at are over 50,000. So there's really not much you can do other than buy cheap land in the middle of nowhere, for a couple thousand or 10,000, but then you got to put utilities on it and you got the whole thing. And I still have to work because I don't have passive income yet. YouTube's a supplemental, but it's still minimum wage, so I can never retire off it. So I still have to have a home base in an area I could work. So I'm building up context to your question, which is a good question. So obviously if it's over 50,000 in any piece of property in a decently populated area, for the most part, in a safe neighborhood, it's going to be more than 50,000. I would get a mortgage. Because even if you have the 100K, even if you had 100K and you found something for 50K, I don't think I would put 50K on it. I don't know. I'd probably take out a mortgage, to be honest with you. But I honestly don't want to. I don't want to get entangled again with banks. It's a tax write-off, but you still end up losing money. It does shift a little bit of liability, right? Because if you ever did get in trouble, it's a little bit better to have a secured debt than, because if you ever get sued or something, if you have something paid off, it's a little bit easier for people to come after that versus if you have like a loan on it, right? Because then it's not really yours, it's the bank's. It's a little bit way to shift liability, just a little bit. So honestly, I don't want to get a mortgage because I don't want to be entangled again. But honestly, I would probably get a mortgage because I wouldn't want to pay cash for that much. And in many times wouldn't be able to, depending on the price. And three is, I think there's a level of wisdom of shifting a little bit of liability and using the tax write-off for it. So for that reason, I would say the chances are, depending on the price, price is everything, chances are I would lean towards if I bought a property again, and if it was in a decently populated area, then it would probably be towards mortgage. If I'm going to buy like a raw piece of land, maybe in the middle of nowhere, I won't take that off the table. If it was under, a few $1,000s, then I'm not going to get a mortgage. But that's rare. And that kind of answers the question. That's a good question. Brandon, I feel like Florida, Cali, New York, Hawaii, and a few other states are better than New Jersey. But New Jersey is still better than a lot of other parts of America, in my opinion. I totally agree. Like we had a viewer in here, she used to be from Kentucky. And shout out to Kentucky, but you're going to get better jobs on average in New Jersey than Kentucky. You're going to get better jobs in New Jersey than Indiana on average. You're going to get better jobs in New Jersey than a lot of other states in America. It doesn't mean those other states are bad and New Jersey's better, et cetera, et cetera. But the bottom line is the majority of money, the majority of commerce is concentrated on the coast, specifically New York, Cali. New Jersey's right next to New York, so there's a big overflow of money. And it's just the way it is. It's not about, Democrat, Republican. Because look, like I said, Chris Christie was a Republican. He was the governor of New Jersey for 8 years. When I left, he was still governor. I know there's someone else now. But the bottom line is, look, that's where the money is. Texas has got some things going on. Look, there's other states got stuff going on too. So I don't want to act like those are the only states in America that are great. But there's a lot more commerce. That's the point. It's something you have to consider. Especially if you're looking at passive income, right? So a lot of people I've met on this journey, downsizing, living on the road, they say, I want to buy a property in the middle of nowhere, put a tiny house or put my RV on it. That's great. I'm not mad at that. But then you really have to figure out what are you going to do for passive income? Because if you just have $100K and you're living in the middle of nowhere, I mean, you got to project how long can you pay for health insurance, taxes, food, and how long can you live off there? And are you going to want to stay on that piece of property every day, all year round for the rest of your life? That may sound exciting, but after a while, just sitting on the property looking at the birds, I think you're going to want to get out a little bit. So it's just something to think about. Gilbert, Sammy, 100K, that's a great start. Oh, that's a blessing. Like I say, first thing you should do if you have 100K is don't feel guilty, because obviously you worked for it, maybe you got an inheritance, whatever. Maybe you were Trump, maybe you inherited it from your father. I'm not mad at you. You lost $1 billion, you still made out. I'm not mad at you. They say that athletes are spoiled, and a lot of times they waste money and they become bankrupt. They're stupid. When Donald Trump inherited money and he lost $1 billion, I don't remember saying like he was spoiled and stupid. So I don't want to hear any more either like athletes go broke. Donald Trump went broke, okay? So come on. But what I can tell you is this: if you have 100K, be thankful, because you are a small percentage of society. Doesn't mean you should feel guilty. No, not at all. I'm just trying to tell you, be thankful and remember that this is a small percentage. Like I was working with a guy and he was above me, and we were talking about life and society. And I told him, like, don't forget, I was telling him, I said, you're in the top 10% of society. Like, if you make over 125, I think if you make like over 125K per year, you're in the top 10% of society. I think if you make over 100K, you're in like 15% of society, something like that. The average income in America is $50,000 per year, approximately. Okay. That's average. So if you're making, so I'm saying all that to say, if you have 100K, chances are you have an income that's above average, or at one time you did, or you inherited money. That's pretty much the only way you did it. Because I don't think you're going to be able to save 100K making $25,000 or $50,000 a year. I mean, it'd take you a long time, man. So that's why I'm making the point to say, if you have 100K, don't feel guilty, but be thankful, because you're in a position very few people will be. Now, I know you may say, well, look, I want to retire, I have this money, I'm excited. And then you realize, well, you're in no position different than most of society, because you still have to work unless you just want to eat away at that savings. But what you have over most people in society is you have a mental relief valve. Like a lot of times I would ask people, like, if you hit the lottery tomorrow, if you won $1 million. So for a lot of people, 100K is like, that's $1 million. Right? So for people with 100K, like, they wish they had $1 million. People with 1K, they wish they had 100K. But let's just say that you hit $1 million. I ask people, like, if you won a lottery for $1 million, what would you do? A lot of people told me, like, I don't know if I could retire the rest of my life, because, again, they wouldn't have passive income. And now, then you can maybe get away with some dividend stocks and stuff like that. But when you don't have money, and when you're not used to managing money, you're not really there yet mentally. So a lot of times people say, damn it, Brandon, here's my part of the $100 million. Yes, we're closer. Praise the Lord. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, Brandon. Reserve. Journey with Jordan. Brandon, I appreciate you, brother. I saw you on XP Jeffy's channel. Shout out to our brother XP Jeffy, man. I saw him, brother. I saw your comment too. I read it. I read your comment that you would do YouTube, but you ain't want, you don't want your exes to see you on the low. I read that comment, made me laugh, brother. Good to see you. Thank you. But I asked a lot of times, like, if people, if you won the lottery, if you won $1 million, what would you do? So, like, after they played it out in their mind, a lot of people say, I probably still have to work, but I would live a totally different life. I said, well, what type of life would you live? That's what I'm asking you. They go, well, I would pay off all my debt. I'd pay off my house, my car, whatever. So start there. Start to pay off debt. Don't wipe out all your savings, but pay off your debt. And then they go, you know what? I would just enjoy that. I would enjoy living debt free, and I would have a mental relief in my mind. Like, I wake up in the morning, I may still go to work, but I know in my mind, like, if I didn't want to go to work, I would still have to work, but I could do something else. That is the value of having that extra money. Even if it's not enough to retire off, what you're doing is you're creating a lifestyle, a mental condition that you're living below your means. It all came to me when I was working construction. When I first started my career, I was an apprentice. I was making close to minimum wage, but I was trying to, I was building up my career. I was going to school at night, and I was working construction. I was in a trailer. I did a video about it. And everyone in that job trailer, when you work construction during lunch break, if you're in like a construction site, you go to a job trailer. I was actually in Merck Pharmaceutical in Rahway, New Jersey, all right? Installing explosion-proof pipe, total disaster. And working for an asshole, too, total disaster. So, at lunch, we all go into this break room. And I don't know what there was, like 10 guys. Okay. So, everyone mostly was on edge. We were working a tough job. A tough job, and everyone like would talk about their life. Like, either they were living paycheck to paycheck, or they would love to retire, or they were fighting with their spouse. Relationships are the number one cause of stress. Relationships, not money. Never forget. So, I know someone going through a divorce. They say, look, I don't want to fight over money. I just want peace of mind. I understand that. But we were all in a job trailer at lunch. And every day, like, I would hear the different guys talking about life and about how they hated life or they were upset with life or whatever. And I was still young, so, like, to me, I was like, I don't care. I just want to get to Friday and go to the club and, get with girls. Like, that was my mindset because I was young. You ain't think about life and retiring early. You just think about, like, wilding out. So, we're all in this job trailer, and everyone, day in and day out, they're just talking about, like, life and their issues. But there was this one guy. And this guy would always dress like a bum. And he would always bring his own lunch. I mean, talk about living below your means. I think he lived a little bit too much below his means because I don't think he ever enjoyed his money. But he would have such a peace about himself. And when he talked, he was calm. He never seemed stressed. When something would go wrong at work or when they would start to talk about layoffs, he would never get upset. And there was an aura around him. Like, remember Prince from the Dave Chappelle show? Like, he had a purple aura making pancakes. Like, this guy had an aura. Now, I don't think it was purple, but it was like Dookie Brown because he looked a little dirty. But he was, like, happy. So, I remember one day, after seeing this guy, like, the only guy that had, like, a peace about him, I remember asking one of the workers, I said, what's up with this guy? Why is he, like, never stressed out? And the guy started laughing. He said, Sam, you don't know? He goes, that guy's got hella money, man. He goes, he lives like in a paid-off trailer. He's every bit of money he makes, he banks. He doesn't have any debt. He's got, no divorce settlement, no child support. He's living carefree. He goes, that's why he comes in every day happy. And like when they said that, I said, oh shit. I made a mental note in my mind. I wasn't ready to live like that or to accept that philosophy. I was still like in my immature showing off days. But that always stood out in my mind that I don't know if I would ever live like he's living, even though I'm probably living worse now. Like that guy never lived in his car. I live in my car. I mean, so it's like I probably live in lower, but live below your means, guys. And I'm not saying live in a car, but I'm saying, there's a peace when you're not financially on the hook to everyone and to everything. And these are the type of things you should adopt as early as possible in life. There's a couple things you should do in life. You should downsize as soon as you can. You should move to the location you want to retire in as soon as you can. The final step is you should stop working and living off passive or creative income as soon as you can. But those are the steps. The steps are live below your means, downsize immediately, and move to the area you want. And then the last step is try to live off some type of passive income. And if you don't, guess what? You're still ahead of most of society. So, that's the process. All right, let's continue to read. Where are we at? Gilbert, good evening, everyone. Yep, Tony. Good to see you, Gilbert. Hawaii is way too pricey. It is expensive. Everything is high, just like Alaska. Alaska's got the freedom dividend. So in Alaska, the oil companies pay their profit to the people. So that's why I think we should get UBI, where companies pay their profit to the people, a dividend profit, okay? Not all of it, but a dividend, okay? They do that in Alaska. A conservative politician said, look, would you rather the oil companies pay that extra tax to the government, or would you rather go directly to the people? And they said the people want it. So in America, Facebook and all these other publicly companies, a percentage of their profit should go directly to the people instead of paying taxes. And most of them don't pay taxes now, so let them go to the people. Every $1,000 a month. Andrew Yang has got no backbone, though. He's a good guy, no backbone. AOC, I don't agree with all of them, but she got backbone, okay? So you're going to need backbone when you run against Trump. You can't run in there like, passive, but you got to go in there like aggressive, man. So what I can tell you is this, though. Don't wait for UBI. Why? Because, shit, you may be dead by the time they pass that, man. So what I tell you to do is downsize now, move to where you want, and, then try to figure it out. All right, let's continue. Free to be me. Peace, Sam. Stay positive. Thank you, brother. Keep it moving. I love you, man. Free to be me. Good to see you. Tony, Gilbert, how's life, brother? Gilbert, hey, Mr. Gilbert, how are you? Tony, great, other than this damn heat. Yeah, like a hot, baby. But I understand it's hot. Tony, going to be 100 tomorrow. Too hot. It's actually going to be hotter up there than it is in Florida tomorrow. Isn't that amazing? But that's all right. You'll hang in there, brother. It'll be full soon. Free to be me. Hey, Gilbert. Emma, what's up, Professor? Good to see you, brother. Shout out NYC. Free to be me. Learn from the past. I agree with that. Work for the future. Amen. And don't be a slave to no computer. I agree. A computer can be a blessing, but you do want to step away from it. Let your mind breathe. I agree with that. Cameron, not a safe question to ask me. I forgot even when I asked you, brother. I'm sorry. I forgot that. Tony, and I'd invest too. Gilbert, a woman told me today that no matter how bad my life may be at this point, she just stopped, collect your thoughts, formulate a plan, and move forward from that point. I hear you. Like I always tell you guys, if life is kicking the shit out of you, just remember, if you stay down, life gets worse, not better. So I'm not one of these guys that gives you a bunch of fake hope. All I tell you is if you got no hope, just put one foot in front of the other. Why? Because if you got no hope and stay down, it gets even worse. So just keep it moving. I hope good stuff happens for everyone. My Jeep journey. The snake consuming its tail. Good job, brother. You're very smart. Yes. Having another form of income so you're not dipping into that 100K. Damn it. See, we Jeep guys, man. I love you, brother. Desert Ghost. Hey, Sam. A lot of good points tonight. Brother, damn, thank you, Desert Ghost. I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Gilbert, you are so right. Savings goes quickly. Before you know it, it's gone. Gilbert, good job. Tony, Sam, I can buy land here for $500? Oh, $500 an acre? Where? After I build a house, I just quadrupled my land value, and you quadrupled your taxes. Now you got a higher monthly recurring expense. So, brother, be thy cautious. Home ownership comes with a lot of burden. Lauren, and you got to pay utilities yet. Okay? And you got to buy socks, because, Tony, you got to masturbate in the middle of nowhere, brother. You're going to be all worked up. So what I can tell you is stay positive. Lauren knows the tax code. Checking in on a lot of chat. Good to have you. 100K is a 4 to 5 year vacation, assuming $2K a month expense. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Guys, if you're single, bare minimum, you need $2K a month to live a decent life. You want to live in poverty, $1,000 less a month. So exactly what she's saying. Look, if you stop working and if you got 100K in the bank, in 5 years from now, you're going to be broke. Okay? And so then you're right back to square one. You don't want to be back to square one, but if you are, just get back up. I know it's not easy. So, damn it, Lauren, I love you. Shout to you. Shout to Arizona. Let's take a hydration break. And Brandon, thank you. Reserved, thank you. Journey with Jordan, thank you. I appreciate your super chats. Let's take a hydration break. Lauren, you got to come back to Boca Raton, Lauren. I love you. Journey with Jordan. Gotten late. I appreciate it, brother. Do you get 100K super chats in? Not yet, but I got you. Put $100 million in there. You started off. I'll never forget you, Journey with Jordan. Lauren, Journey with Jordan, you're laughing. Lauren, 100K gets you a lot of stocks. Damn it, I can't wait. Jody, hey Jody, howdy. Sleeping in the van tonight on the East Coast. Well, Jody, I'm proud of you. That's the first step. Action, guys. Your dream does not get any closer without action. And to start, if you were looking at the mobile lifestyle, whether as a vacation or as a long-term thing, I always tell you guys, start with weekend trips. That's what I would do, okay? So you may not be ready for this life 100% full-time, and you may not ever. But life is meant to be lived, okay? So either you're saving up to get 100K or you got 100K. But either way, none of us get more time. So seize the moment of your life. Live with urgency. Go out there this weekend and go for a weekend trip. Enjoy life, okay? Because as you make your plans, life is passing you by. So it's a balance in life, okay? Between trying to be a $100 million man and, masturbating in a sock and having the Ted DiBiase belt. Remember the Ted DiBiase belt? That's what I would do with $100 million, okay? I'll buy $100,000 worth of socks. And then I'm going to buy, and you guys know I'm getting Scrooge big buck pool where I swim in money all day. And then I'm also going to get the Ted DiBiase belt. Who remembers wrestling when Ted DiBiase had the $1 million belt? I'm going to get that, okay? I don't know why. I just going to get it. But what I could tell you guys is, even before you get the Ted DiBiase $1 million belt, enjoy life. You know, whether it's taking a road trip or whatever. Because, guys, look, your health is your number one asset. Never forget that. Never forget that, guys. And so while you have your health, while you have your chance, when you have the opportunity and time, go out there and seize the moment of your life. Good job. Good job, Jody. Enjoy yourself. Journey with Jordan, I'll never forget you, brother. We're almost there. $100 million. Yeah. Journey with my Jeep journey. Laughing good. Journey with Jordan. I didn't vote for either. I can understand that. And I love everyone. Lesser of the two evils is still evil. I can understand that. Ross Perot style. Both choices were a disaster. That's true. I won't lie to you. That's true. Reserved. Black City. Yeah. Sam, we're going to Sweden. Hi, I talked about that. Pandering Trump. But we love everyone. Reserved. I appreciate you. Journey with Jordan. If anything, Edward Snowden should be pardoned. Well, Edward Snowden is the guy who leaked, did like WikiLeaks. I think he worked for the CIA or something like that, in the computer software or whatever, and he basically leaked a lot of like confidential files from the government. Look, J. Edgar Hoover, I think, used to be a cross-dresser. He used to be transgender, okay? So we didn't know that until just a couple of years ago, and he went after the mafia. J. Edgar Hoover, I think that's him. He was going to go after the mafia, but the mafia took pictures of him dressed up like a girl, like having gay sex. And that was when like being gay was like people would cause you to be an outcast in society. And like, because they blackmailed him, he decided not to go after the mafia. Okay. The government also went after the Black Panthers. A lot of people say they dumped crack in the minority communities to like destroy the community because that's when the communities were uprising against the government. So the government has done a lot of things, guys. Okay, including Snowden. After Snowden leaked some of the things they were doing, then they said, well, we're coming after you. Now, should he have leaked it? Look, there's some... Trump was happy he leaked it. He said to leak more about Hillary. So, look, the government's always going to have secrets, though. I'm not going to lie to you. Why? Because it's just part of life. I'm not going to lie to you. But the bottom line is, before you go down that black hole, remember, you can't control any of that. So vote when you can vote, get involved, speak up when you see injustice, but realize that the masses, no matter what their race, culture, religion, the masses are decent people. Spend your time around decent people. If you don't like people, spend time by yourself. Just don't hurt anyone, okay? And remember to look back in the context of things. In society still moving forward. America is still in a good place. Even with Trump, society is still in a good place. So let's stay positive. Should Eric Snowden be free? I don't know. Last time I heard he was in Russia. Is he still in Russia? Now, I know Trump got a lot of connections in Russia. They said Trump had a gold shower in Russia. What's a golden shower? It's when he had a bunch of Russian prostitutes take a pee on themselves. That's what R. Kelly did. R. Kelly peed on them. Donald Trump had the prostitutes pee on themselves. Is that true? I don't know. Is Hillary Clinton emails true? I don't know. So what I can tell you is, look, Donald Trump likes to pee on people like R. Kelly. Am I mad at them? Hey, guys, I don't know. Let's say positive. Tony, Sam, If they try to send me to anywhere, I'll be on the res with the Native Brothers. My next album will be called Come Get Me. I'm not mad at you. Dennis, I set up my savings/emergency at 30K. Okay, good. I like that you have a specific goal. Good job. Fine, flexible home base. Good job. At 35K, you're going to get a mortgage on that? Or is that 30K after you pay off the 35K? Let's continue to read. Cover health needs. Good job. Till I qualify for Medicare. Good job. 7K, I like this specific number. And begin looking for the right piece of land to create my own side hustle. Well, I like everything you got laid out. But before you buy the land, figure out the side hustle. Now, if you only need the side hustle for extra money, then buy the land. But never anchor yourself down until you figure out how you can survive in the area you're getting ready to anchor down. The number one thing I have in my favor now is my flexibility. That's the number one thing, okay? Now, I'm also taking a higher risk, okay? So, because, you know, if you get caught out here, you're just taking a little bit more risk. I like your plan, though, brother. Dennis, you're a very smart guy. I like that you got the numbers. I like it. You got focus, okay? The difference between a laser and a light is focus, okay? You got to focus. You have a plan. Just be careful before you anchor yourself down. You've scouted the land. Because if you move in the middle of nowhere, buying a property for 35K, you're not going to be moving in a highly populated area. You know, I don't know how much, I don't know how much side hustle you could do. You can't do DoorDash there most of the time. You know, I mean, DoorDash is one thing, but there's not a lot of things you can do when there's not a lot of people. That's why rural lands have higher poverty. Rural lands, meaning like land in the middle of nowhere, it's cheaper, but it's also cheaper because there's not a lot of commerce and there's a lot more poverty. So the coastal areas are where it's dense in population, higher cost of living, but the reason is there's more commerce. Money is changing hands. And wherever there's more money changing hands, you can get in the middle and you can do a side hustle, okay? When there's no money changing hands, you're just looking at a cattle. You can't hustle that cattle. You know, that cattle can't, super chat you or nothing. That cattle taking a dookie in your backyard, okay? So just be mindful of that. Good job, Doug. Let's take a hydration break. Reserved. Oh, yeah, I answered that question, but that was good. Reserved, you asked great questions. Milano, Sammy, 100K. Milano just recently collected Social Security. I think he's making about $1,500 a month. That's not enough to fully retire on. Okay, now he's living full-time in his Class B plus in Miami, I think in some park. So Milano probably eventually will look for a home base. Maybe not. He could probably find a cheap RV park to park at. But Milano, I think you still work too, right? Like, I forgot when it is, 62 or... I think you got to wait till 67 before you can work unlimited amount of... and make an unlimited amount of money. I think if you collect Social Security at 62, you can only make so much money before it starts to eat away at what you can take home from Social Security. Does anyone know that? Lauren, you know that? But Milano may make some money under the table. Don't tell him that, Milano. Keep your business private. But Milano's in retirement mode. So, he's like kind of getting to this process where, he would like 100K super chat. Dennis, my side hustle is I don't know if I'm going to say this right, is a Akapanakis farm and way station for nomads. Why? Someone tell me what an Akapanakis farm is, man. What's that mean? Gerald, 100K? I'd buy a Jeep Grand Cherokee and pay it off and probably save the rest. I'm not mad at that. Good job, Gerald. What color would you get? Would you get the Trailhawk edition? R&D Studios. Hey, R&D. Turkish? Jesus, that's an interesting name. I'd open a music studio. I'm not mad at that. Creativity. Good to see you. Milano, Sammy, you can put it in a 2.5% year. You can put it in a 2.75% a year. That's not, is that $229 per month? Hold on a sec, man. I don't think that's that. That ain't that. Let me do my calculator, guys. Hold on. Milano hit me with the math. I'm not mad at that, Milano. Let me tap into my free Wi-Fi, because you know I'm cheap. Okay, so we got 100K. I'm putting this in my calculator. 100K times 0.022 $2,775 equals $2,750 per year divided by 12 months in a year equals $229 per month pre-tax. All right, Milano, where are you getting that interest rate from? What bank is offering that in a savings account? That's interesting, Milano. Tony, hell, 100 grand would be barely enough for a good studio. Well, yeah, depending on the studio, that's why you can be careful. Guys, nowadays you don't even need a studio. You can do everything on your phone. So don't go overboard, but do whatever you want. Dream with Jordan. 100K, pay off all my debts. Good job. Make sure, yeah, set aside 20K. Good job, brother. Invest the rest conservatively in low-risk mutual funds. Damn it, Journey with Jordan. I love you, brother. I want positive things to happen for you. I love you, man. Backwoods, 100K. I would buy a small property in Florida, okay, and Washington. He would be a snowbird. Then a new truck. What kind of truck? And, oh, you like those Kimmo campers. I remember that. Then save 10K for emergencies. Okay. After that, I would give the rest to Grant. I hate that guy, man. Commercial real estate. I saw that guy, man. Don't give it to him. That's a scam. He's doing that public crowdfunding. I watched a couple of his videos, man. I think he's a scam artist, but I don't want to hate on anyone. But I think him and Bob Wells are scam artists. Bob Wells, in my opinion, allegedly, this is my opinion. I'm not personally attacking him. Bob Wells did a video of some old-ass lady. I hate to say that, but she was old as hell, living in a boxcar for less than $800 a month. But she was living off donations. She had a stroke and several health issues. She was not living in that box van for the recent time. There's no way she had a stroke and all the different health issues that she had living in that box van. And she basically is not living off $800 a month because she said without the donations, she would be destitute. So I think that's a total mislead, in my opinion, allegedly, or whatever you want to say. I'm not trying to attack anyone. But when I saw that video today, I said, that's a bunch of... Bob Wells is a salesman, man. I hate to say it. He's a good guy. Sounds like it. He's the same thing as Grant Cardone. The 10X rule, man. You get a bunch of old ladies, you pander to the crowd, and, you re-up on your T-shirts. So what I can tell you, man, Bob Wells is a great salesman, man. He's a great salesman, man. Now, he's giving you some good information, but he's a great salesman. And what I can tell you is Grant Cardone, he may be in the real estate, but he's a salesman. So, guys, I'm not mad at that Trump salesman. It's good to be a salesman. Just be cautious about giving someone else your money. Good job. Backwoods, Florida, yeah. Lauren, I would add 100K to my existing savings and maybe go out for sushi a little more. All right, good job. Here's the thing about just keeping your money in savings. I forgot to mention this. I'm sorry about that. You run the risk of its value getting eaten up by inflation. What is inflation? Inflation is you go to the movies today and it costs $10 to go to the movies. 10 years from now, it may cost $20 to go see a movie. That's one example, right? So inflation is over time, the value of things goes up. Okay, that's inflation. I think right now they say America's running at about a 2% inflation rate. So basically, if you just keep your money and if you keep 100K in a savings account that gets zero interest, you're losing 2% on your money each month, each year. So you're losing like $229 per month if you have zero interest. So right now, to keep up with inflation, you need to make more than 2%. So Milano said he'd make 2.75% with some bank. And most banks ain't giving that. And if they are giving that, you have to tie your money up for 3 to 5 years or something like that in a CD. And that means if you take that money out early, you get hit with a penalty. So to keep up with inflation, you got to make a couple percent at least. But then you got to risk your money or lock it up, and that's a negative. Let's continue to read. Backwoods, real talk saying thank you. Live. Was that shade? I don't know what I said, but shit. If the shoe fits, wear it. Backwoods. Journey with Jordan. Nas was in concert last night in Nashville. I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing. Tony, Sam, honestly, I have enough of residuals. Good job. And guess I'd make at least $2,500 a month. That's great. You and Dennis in good shape. Now, and I mean Ocean City, they net off the beaches at the curtain distance to protect the sharks. I'm not mad at that, Tony. Good job, man. James, what's up, man? That was a good point. Thank you. I don't even know what I said. Mr. Jake, what's up, man? Remember Jake the Snake Roberts? Good to see you. Brandon, thank you again, brother. We're closer to 100 million. Hey, am I throwing shade? Hey, if the shoe fits, wear it, man. I love you guys. Just go. Woo, Brandon, consistent tipper. He's a good. Hey, guys, some of you guys at strip club just drinking your Corona in the background, watching me strip for free. Don't be mad at that. I need to step up my game. No, just do you. Hey, guys, if you're trying to save 100K, save your 100K. I'm not here to manipulate you guys. I'm stripping no matter what, guys, okay? So, once in a while it's nice to get a little, but if you're not, I understand it too. Brandon, just I'm blessed. I do what I can, but don't let me make you feel bad. That's right. That's not, I agree with that. Do you, that's right. And don't keep up with the Joneses. Amen, Brandon, good comment. Brandon, well, I'm not the Joneses, but you know what I mean. Gerald's laughing, good job. Nomad Tallahassee's in the house. Good to see you, brother. Shout out to North Florida. Just Sam, I'm going to file bankruptcy and bank every 70% of paycheck for retirement. That's my only way out. I'm not mad at you. Everyone has their own situation. Donald Trump did bankruptcy, I think, 3 or 4 times. So did Dave Ramsey. Well, at least once. So am I mad at you? I'm not mad at anyone. You do what you got to do for you. The only thing I will say, my mom had a neighbor. She filed bankruptcy, and it created a lifestyle that was unhealthy. Because what she basically did was sit in a house for a year and not pay her mortgage, and she would just sit there, and because you have to basically get so far behind before that, you can claim it. At least that's what she played that game. She would come home though every day with bags from the store and buy a bunch of stuff, but she was basically gonna let her house go into foreclosure. So look, I'm not mad at any of you guys playing a game because everyone plays it. Just don't let it seep into your mindset that, like the negative way to do it. If you have to do it, do what you gotta do. You don't have to justify yourself to me or anyone else. But I just remember my mom's neighbor, she did it so nasty, no money, and she go into foreclosure. But she was constantly just being negative, smoking cigarettes, buying shit, and just negative. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm not mad at, look, if I had to file it, file what you need to file. Here's a couple things, guys, though. Student loans, you cannot file bankruptcy. So the best thing to file bankruptcy is if you have a high cost of medical bills and you have really no money or no assets. And that's why it's the number one cause of bankruptcy in America is medical bills. But if you got student loans, bankruptcy ain't going to help you. And a lot of people do. So, but if your situation, if the best thing for you is bankruptcy, I'm not mad at you. Just don't let it seep in your soul as far as that style. But do what you got to do. I'm not mad at that. I would do it if I had to. Random-matic. Excuse me. CEO 1,000, 100,000. I'm not mad at that. Jody, not the first time. I know you're not a rookie. Not the first time sleeping in a van. I'm not mad at you. Did it for years. Full time. Toured your area tonight. Well, if you see me at Walmart or wherever I'm at. Jody, I love you. Safe travels. And I know, I can tell you're a very strong, independent woman. I could tell from your videos. So I know you get it. Tony, the $1 million belt. Yeah, was designed by Terry. I didn't know that. Betteridge of Betteridge Jewelers. I didn't know that. In Greenwich, Connecticut. I didn't know that. Dream with Jordan. At Brandon. What's up, man? Are you still Nomad? I saw, he's blowing spot. I saw you at Dustin's driving live stream the other day. Where's that? You guys are both in Tennessee? Brandon, at Journey. Yeah, man, I'm staying close to work. You guys are giving up all your GPS locations in Lebanon during this week. Then on the weekends, I'm in Nashville, Ubering my socks off. You guys are cool, man. Dennis, producing food efficiently is aquaponics. That's interesting. Feeds me. I'm not mad at you. Supplies restaurants. I'm not mad at that. And there's a farmer's market in every town. That's true. The point of the side hustle is to work it as a nonprofit because I'm retired. Well, Jim Cramer has a charitable trust fund brokerage account, and it's a total scam. Bob Wells got a nonprofit. I had a nonprofit. You can have a nonprofit and still get paid $100K a year because it's all in proportion of how much you bring in and how much you pay your employees. So a nonprofit, though, you have to first put a capital investment into applying to the IRS for, I think it's a 501c3. The IRS has to deem your mission statement as a cause to society that's beneficial. Now, your cause would probably be beneficial because it does sound like you're healthy organic food to society. That would be a nonprofit. But a nonprofit still operates as a business. You still have to operate it efficiently to make money. And if you don't make money, then you have to come out of your pocket. So like any business, even a nonprofit, you can go out of business because it costs money to have a business, even if it's a nonprofit. A nonprofit just means that you have a mission statement that benefits society and the IRS has approved it, okay? And so you don't have to pay certain taxes. But if you collecting a salary, if you're the CEO, I was the CEO of a nonprofit, outreach to different communities. If you're the CEO, I basically end up donating everything to I didn't make anything. But the bottom line is, if you have a nonprofit and you, Dennis, are going to be the CEO and owner, okay, and you collect a salary, you still have to pay income tax. Your company, your entity, your corporation, that's what it'll be a corporation. They don't have to pay taxes on what they bring in, but if you distribute money to yourself, you have to pay income tax. And you have to run that whole thing like a business. I mean, that's a lot of work. You don't think it is a lot of work, okay? And you got to file quarterly statements, everything. That's a disaster. So what I can tell you, brother, is just be careful, because that's not the simple life running a nonprofit. I did it. And what I can tell you is, I'm not mad at you, though. It's a good plan. Brandon, inflation is 4 to 6% on average. I think that's a little high. So you're still losing money on it. Be careful out there. It's true, though. Tony, aquaponics is growing plants in water. Damn, I didn't know that. Lauren, Bank is giving 2.5%. But here's the key. Read the fine print. How long do you have to give them your money? Meaning that do you have to keep your money in the savings account for at least a year before you get that? And if you withdraw that money early, do you get a penalty? So that's interesting. Good job. We're doing that, Brandon. I hear you, man. Keep track of your socks here. Be careful. We need those socks. Inspirational Nomad will scoop them up. Damn it. Lauren, I'm getting 2.1% at Discovery Online Savings. Okay. Is there any regulations on how long you have to keep it in the account? Brandon, at Journey, I don't think Sam is into sloppy seconds. Well, I'm not. But I do watch porn sometimes of sloppy seconds cream pies. I enjoy that. I'm not going to lie. Tony, Dennis, what do you raise? Fish? Lauren, I keep 1/3 of net worth in high yield savings, 2/3 investments in split between non-retirement and brokerage accounts and retirement accounts, no debt. Lauren, thumbs up. I can tell you get it. Be careful out there. Good job. Lauren, where do you want to retire? Are you going to retire in Arizona, where you're at? Where do you want to retire? That's the key, guys. Where do you want to retire? Because where you want to live is key to you living your best life. Money, come on, guys, stay with me. Money is a resource used to live your best life. Part of your best life is living in an environment that inspires you. So the whole, what would you do at 100K? A big part of that is, where do you want to live? Because if you're just going to live in a bush and you don't want to live in a bush, what's the point of 100K? So make a mental note. Good job. Ryan B. Now, I do like bush. Let's take a hydration break. I do like bush, guys. Sometimes I look that up in the porn. Now, all my guys up there looking up porn, you know what bush is. All right. I got to blow my nose. Stay with me, guys. It's all right. Ryan breaking down some math, too. He goes, I live off $800 a month. I got to put you on Bob Wells special. Plus $1,000 a month in donations. Oh, yeah, that's what you say. Yes, yeah, good job. Yeah, that was pretty yeah, and look, love and respect her. I'm not mad at her hustle. I'm not mad at Bob Wells' hustle. But I think that's a total lie. Because, right, and I'm guarantee you, I know people that had strokes. There's no way she had a stroke and she was living in her box van. Impossible. Where was she parked? In the front of a hospital? So you're going to tell me, so they didn't tell the whole context of the story. And I think that's very deceptive. If you were like 60 or 80 years old and you're going to go live in a box van and you think like you're going to live a great life like her, you're seeing, like, Bob Wells was like, how have you been since the last talk? She was like, well, I had a stroke. I broke my back. This, and that. She goes, and Bob Wells goes, oh, sounds like other than that, you've been great. I was like, oh, man, let's stay positive. Ryan B., I don't think you can file bankruptcy on taxes either, so watch out. I think you may be right on that. Good point, Ryan. Oh, God. My hand's getting sweaty. Uh-oh. All right, guys, we're getting late. Uh-oh. Oh, God. Stay with me. Whoa. That's scary, man. That was like looking at Queen's video of all the dolls she had in her room last night. That was scary. Jeremy Jordan, inflation is a function of interest and is intensified by currency not backed by gold. Yeah, I think Nixon took us off the gold standard in like 71, but it allowed our economy to grow faster, but also obviously that caused inflation as well, and property values and asset values to go up. So it's a counterbalance, but that's true. And then he goes, systematically transferring all the wealth and resources to the top 1% that benefit off printing money. To some extent, that's a good breakdown. To some extent, that's a good point. Journey with Jordan. But what do I know? No, that was an excellent point. You're a very smart guy. I'm just giving you, nah, man, he's smart. Living in a Prius. Oh, I almost blocked you by accident. Nah, man, you're smart, man. That was a great comment, Journey with Jordan. Ryan B. My hand's so sweaty, like everything's like, at Journey with Jordan. Have you done your debt-free scream yet? Who's that giving me the eyeball? Oh, okay. I thought that was negative. That made me positive. Oh, because I zoomed in. Thank you. Lauren, non-profit 501c3. You got it right, brother. Thank you. Yeah. How many of you guys live in Dave Ramsey's parking lot? Hey, guys, Dave Ramsey a capitalist, so I guarantee you, once he finds out, he's going to charge you rent, man. He don't play around. You don't think like he's a friend to the poor, man. That guy's, man, but he has taught people a lot, but just be careful. Journey with Jordan. He's like the guy, he's like the guy like undercover boss. Like you're working your ass off at McDonald's, the boss dress up like for 2 days and he sweeps floors with you. And then you find out he's the CEO. And then he goes, you know what, I'm going to change your life. I'm going to give you $10,000 to go back to school. And the guy, I don't want to go back to school. The guy working at McDonald's, the guy wants like $100,000 super chat to go buy some socks. Dave Ramsey's sitting over there. People call him up. They go, Dave, I'm fucking dying over here, man. I got like $5,000 alimony. I'm $100,000 in debt. My life's a disaster. And Dave Ramsey goes, you know what I'm going to do for you? I'm going to send you my book free. And I'm going to put you through, what is it, like Dave Ramsey University? Whatever the fuck he calls it. And the guys up there like, oh, thanks, Dave. That's really going to help me. It's a disaster. Let's continue. Join. At Ryan B. Not yet. I did a rent-free scream by the dumpsters. Lauren, I'm in Las Vegas now. I didn't know that. Oh, yeah, I did know that. Yeah. Well, I said Arizona, but Las Vegas. Okay. But I like to keep it mobile and live in places that are hot and have no state income tax. I'm not mad at that. Now, I'm not mad at that at all. Lauren, do you like Las Vegas permanently, though? Or you're not sure yet? And do you live mobile? Do you live in a car, van, or RV? Or do you live in an apartment or house? Lauren, I moved around every few years, but will stick with Las Vegas or South Florida. She used to be from Boca Raton. Texas may be an option, but not to buy property, okay, because they have crazy high property tax. Okay, good comment. Ryan B, laughing. Sweating hands, yeah, it got crazy. The guy gave me the eyeball. It wasn't negative. I think he was just trying to say, like, I see the eyeball. It's all right, strong reactor. Jeremy Jones laughing. Good job, Dennis. Tony, fish provide the nutrients for the plants. So, yes, I not only raise fish, I'm depending on the fish. Sell them as well. I'm not mad at that. As long as you did it, girl. Her snacks don't smell like fish. I did that once. Total disaster. But some of you guys, your sausage smells sour, so it's true. Dave, I'm dying over here. And my life's a disaster. Well, yeah, I'll put you through Peace-Free University or whatever. Yeah, that's going to help me. Thank you. Right? Yeah, financial peace university. What a disaster. That guy's such a capitalist, man. I'm not mad at him. Brandon, I've got to go at Dave Ramsey's parking lot and report back. Jenny Wood Jordan will probably say he wasn't home when I came by. Nomad, 10% ROI, 4 to 6 months, Atlanta real estate investment. I'm not mad at that. All right, you got an investment strategy over there? Good job, Nomad. I'm happy for you, brother. Nomad, are you retired, brother? Journey with Jordan. Ryan B knows what it is. You guys keep your GPS location private. Lauren, I can see myself here for a while. I rent a cheap apartment with no furniture. That's a good comment. Well, guys, I think we had a good night, and I think it was good. So, guys, you guys gave a lot of good comments, too. Shout out to you. Thank you. I appreciate everyone watching. Brandon, I appreciate you. Journey with Jordan and Reserve. Thank you for the super chats. Backwoods, you got a comment coming in late. Good live stream. Thank you for your feedback. I think Grant Cardone might be a scam. Oh, he definitely a scam artist. Did the power go out behind you? Yeah, the lights came out in the parking lot. I got to get going. Laughing. I hope your night goes well. I love you, brother. Thank you. I love you, Brandon. I'm Dylan. Dennis, laughing. Sam, whether male or female, if you don't want it to smell, avoid pleather. Yes, get more socks, guys. We shall have $100 million in an escrow account for socks. But the truth is, you gotta wash those socks. They'll smell like nastiness too. Don't forget that. I just did my laundry today, so be careful, guys. Venomatic, 100. I'm not mad at you. Good job, Venomatic. Dream with Jordan. That was hilarious. I don't even know what I said. That's good. All right, guys. That's it. We had a good night. Let's stay positive. If you didn't already, hit the thumbs up. Share the video. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for the super chats. Stay positive. Keep going forward.